welcome to this week's edition of AAN News. I'm Lily Kim. Saddam Hussein was executed last week. His death and the exposure of his hanging all over the internet is a controversial issue for many. AAN has the details. The video of the Saddam Hussein hanging has been available online since last Monday, and the execution of the former Iraqi president has been burning up bandwidths and causing controversy.
I can say that it's unfortunate that it's been plastered all over the internet. I think that whatever the situation is, it's a very serious situation.
The footage was reportedly captured by a cell phone. It's jittery but clear enough to see Saddam hung and killed. In a guarded response, the nation of India is disappointed with the capital punishment. Vice President of India Tribune calls the murder and war controversial.
It's a controversial topic. I mean, everybody's upset with something, and Saddam Hussein just happens to be, I think, a puppet or some kind of a pawn in the whole politics business. This is controversial because the war itself is controversial.
AAN attempted to ask what some of the locals on Devon Avenue thought, but they refused to respond. One shop owner, who is Iraqi, said he did not support Saddam, but many of his customers praised the dictator and didn't want any trouble. For the past few weeks, Chicago's winter weather had been warmer than usual. And although many enjoy the spring-like temperatures, this unusual climate got people asking what's going on. Our Ingrid Yanata went to the Chicago Weather Forecast Office to get some answers.
Could anyone point out what's missing in this picture? I'm thinking, where are the heavy winter coats? In January, temperatures are usually in the 30s, and folks usually bundle up or stay indoors.
The big letter A there, that's above normal.
But with the weather being so mild for the past month, it looks as if the sun is here to stay, leaving many Chicagoans glad, but at the same time, worried.
I like the weather now. It's nice and warm. No snow, but a lot of people are sick. This is very unusual for us.
I'm rather aware of the global warming, and so that's one thing that we need really to address. That's not only us here in Chicago, but all over the world, because it's really a crazy, crazy weather this time of the year. I just called my sister last night, and in Manila, they're really cold too. And well, this time of the year, it's really a little bit cold in the Philippines, but not really for them to be wearing sweater in the afternoon.
Hopefully it'll turn out we'll get a little bit of snow and regular weather for this time. It almost doesn't seem like January, though I don't mind it. I could stay like this. The more we have this weather, the closer we get to spring.
Not so fast. If you've been in Chicago long enough, you'll know for sure that nothing is for sure.
Even, as late as March, you think, well, we've gone through a mild, December, January, and February, and people are gearing up for spring, and then we might get a snowstorm sometimes in early or mid-March that kind of catches people off guard.
Tucked away in the suburbs, folks at the National Weather Service monitor Chicago's weather using this big white dome called the Doppler radar. AAN paid them a visit and asked whether it is safe enough to put away those puffy winter clothes.
I wouldn't give up on winter completely. 40 and 50 degrees is way above normal, probably warmer than we would expect even in an El Nino winter. But, and we will see a cool down early next week.
So does global warming play a part in Chicago's mild winter weather? The National Weather Service Center says it's a possibility. What they know for sure is we're in good shape for the next week or so, temperature-wise. But there's always that chance of a snowstorm coming out of the blue.
I'm not putting down my winter coats and the thick clothing.
Ingrid Yanata, AAN News.
A Korean-American is Illinois Congressman Danny Davis's chief of staff. Corny Sunju Boo worked as a legislative assistant and legislative director for Davis and will assume her new role January 22nd. Boo has over 13 years of experience in managing political campaigns. Previously, she served as a deputy political director for Senator John Edwards' campaign for presidency. Boo says she began her political career in Chicago as a community organizer for the Chinese American Service League. She says that coming back to work for the Congressman Davis is very much a homecoming for her. It's official, Ban Ki-moon of South Korea now holds the top position at the United Nations. Ban was sworn in mid-December. He succeeded Kofi Annan of Ghana, who stepped down after 10 years at the helm. AAN has more.
Crisis in the Middle East and North Korea's nuclear program, as well as human rights issues. These are only a few but major concerns that the new UN chief had to deal with as soon as he took office. Ban Ki-moon started his first day on the job by promising immediate attention to these crises and more. The 62-year-old told reporters he wants to restore trust between nations and the UN and work to reduce extreme poverty within 8 years. Ban is the first Asian to lead the UN in 35 years. His first trip overseas would be to the African Union Summit in Ethiopia. As Secretary General, Ban will oversee an organization with some 92,000 peacekeepers around the world and a $5 billion annual budget. Ingrid Yanada, AAN News.
Earlier today, Governor Blagojevich honored today's heroes. They are ones who serve Illinois in areas of healthcare, education, and economic development. Among the award recipients, So-young Kim and Yeonhee Harm. They were honored for creating a breast and cervical cancer early detection program that provides free mammograms for women in the Korean community. After much protest from Asian American activists, one Chicago high school will reconsider naming its baseball field. In the spring, sports commentator Mike North angered the Asian American community by referring to a Korean Cubs pitcher, Jae Kuk-roo, as a Chinaman. North claims he didn't know the term was offensive. He's since apologized on air for his remarks, while in the past, he's been accused of being racially insensitive. Sen High School Council members hope to reach a decision when they meet this Wednesday. She's only 22, a Korean native, and here in Chicago filming her first feature film. She invited AAN to her home and on the set, where we got an exclusive interview with the filmmaker and her cast. This is Minji Kang. All right. Can you just tell us a little bit about the film?
This film, there's three young girls who is going through a lot of difficulties, such as dealing with their past or dealing with their problems, personal problem, which requires a lot of patience and hard work in order to improve their lifestyle, or what they believe what is right or what is not right.
I think this film is really interesting because you have a very diverse cast, and all the leads are female. Because rarely, it's always like the male lead, you know, and then the female's like the co-star. So I think that has, and then the topic is it's a deep issue. I mean, it goes on different sorts of level to relationships and to strangers. So.
How do you like this film? I mean, I'm sure you read the script.
That's what intrigued me about it when I read the script. It was just like, wow, there's a lot of deep stuff going on here. So yeah, I was really intrigued when I first read it.
My films definitely has sort of a darkness because a lot of deep emotions is into it.
The script's very edgy, and it's a lot of different stories going on at the same time, so I'm anxious to see what it looks like when it's edited together, because reading it can be a little challenging, especially when it's been translated.
Definitely it's fictional, but as a writer and director, I believe, because it's all from my heart and my imagination, there's some sort of thing I do strongly share with all the characters, and this film is very character-driven story, and all the characters are intertwined together. And also I strongly believe that what they feel and what they have to go through in order to become a better person, in order to become, better manager of their life. We all, as a human being, share certain feelings all together, and it's all about the emotion.
She's on it. She knows what she wants, and so that makes my job a little bit easier in preparation.
And how's your experience been working with Minju?
It's been fun. We've been in 2 cities so far, and that's been fun. Just hanging out in Chicago. And she's on it.
Well, it's also interesting, I think, to have a director who's written the script, because they come with a deeper knowledge of what's actually going on, and the fact that she could create an entire backstory for my character, which is this much of the movie and isn't by any means a starring role, it's great that she's able to do that, and then you can have more depth to know where you're coming from. Instead of just woman in a cab, you have this whole backstory of why you're in the cab, what you don't want from the cab, what you want from the person that you're with, and it just gives me my motivation.
Actually, Adieu, My Love. I definitely show to as many people as I can. Out there, I believe a lot of people who has not been yet exposed to independent film, and people out there maybe as a director, I wanted to share what I feel and how the characters feel after going through so many difficulties. And that's the kind of emotional feeling that I would like to share with people.
How can people? And look out for Minji Kang's Actually Do a Love, which will be coming out 2008. And still to come, find out which new Asian nation will soon be importing vehicles to the U.S., see why Indians are heading toward a death trap, and get the Ki-chan experience at one of my favorite restaurants, all up next on AAN. Here's one restaurant who's dedicated to serve the freshest fish possible and is the only restaurant in Chicago who serves fresh kill fish. We'll now take you to one of my favorite places to dine, Heat. Heat is another one of Chicago's high-end sushi restaurants. Located on 1507 North Sedgwick in Old Town, come and get a taste of the Ki-chan experience, which means feasting on the freshest seafood. And when I say fresh, I mean fresh. Underneath the sushi bar at Heat, there's 3 giant fish tanks capable of holding 400 pounds of fish. When I came in, the tanks were filled with izumi dai.
All right, what I do with this fish right here is izumi dai. Humanity to put the fish away. If I cut to the brand system of the fish, pass them away. So, but the nerve system is still a little bit around, so it's moving a little bit. All right. The technique that we did today is not gutting the fish. So cut the fish to not gutting it all.
Do you know of other restaurants in Chicago that does fresh kill?
Not yet.
No? You're the only one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not yet. Now this fish right here is going to be different than other fish that you guys just taste, because the muscle a little more tighter. It's not relaxing yet, and the knife is way too fast. So when we're serving it, you'll see how it goes. Stay still. At Heat we're doing a lot of different special type of fish that based on sashimi. Normally we're dealing with different fish that in season that dealing with sashimi only, and some of the nigiris, but the whole experience that we would try to introduce to the customer.
Clearly the freshest fish I've ever tasted. Clearly. It's delicious though. It's dynamite. It is dynamite.
Guests don't have menus, but trust to sample Executive Chef Ki-chan's suggestions.
The chef behind that have to be knowledgeable. You know, if you go into a restaurant that you believe in the chef and you trust them, then I don't think this is the question people would even brought it up. Okay. With us is you will see first they will come in one dish, go with presentation and the taste at the same time.
Set menus start at $45, $60, $100, and for $50 extra, you can have a wine or sake pairing. Heat's most popular dish.
I think it's the most popular items on the menu that people that asking not to change is the spicy tuna handle. Yeah, the spicy tuna handle. Exactly. That's something that I try to take it up and replace something else. But I think the heat from the spicy tuna and the torch from to the tunas and there's such a unique dish that everybody, every time they come in here, that's what they remember.
And my favorite, the super white tuna. What also distinguishes Heat from other sushi restaurants?
Now you see the difference is you see the sushi case, our sushi case, no fish. So the way to maintain the fish is very important. We're learning time to time to understand like how to keep the fish the best quality is the way it is all the time. So we end up, using no longer put the fish in the sushi bar no more. We keep it like a truffle box.
Heat only seats about 40 people.
I think somehow the restaurant become a very exclusive. That's also our intention to make the restaurant completely exclusive because it's such a small restaurant. It's not for everybody.
If you dare to try the fresh kill and take pleasure in eating the freshest seafood, get the Ki-Chan experience at Heat. By 2025, experts say China will have the world's highest number of lung cancer victims. 1 million could be affected if China doesn't take action to reduce smoking and pollution. Over 120,000 new cases have been reported over the past 5 years. According to the World Health Organization, lung cancer claims almost 5 million lives a year. Over a third of the country smokes regularly. So far, the Chinese government has responded by banning smoking in public places and prohibiting the sale of cigarettes to minors. Indonesia's president formed a special search and rescue team to find a missing airplane. More than 700 soldiers and policemen were deployed while families of the 102 passengers wait. Adam Air's Boeing 747 went missing from the radar last Monday. Our Ingrid Yonada begins the story.
The headlines in Indonesia read, Adam airplane missing. The ill-fated plane was just an hour away from its destination when it disappeared from the radar. Since then, rumors grew from corruption within the government to sabotages that may have caused the plane to go down. This Indonesian official says, we don't know the exact cause, but what we do know was the weather condition around the area was quite severe. While the victims' families wait anxiously, false reports of the plane being found added salt to the injury. This also sparked a political blame game and conspiracy theories. So we contacted Indonesia's Consulate General in Chicago for their comment.
Ya, kalau menurut himbauan Presiden dan Menteri Perhubungan tuh supaya ini dulu lah menghentikan dulu segala macam spekulasi itu yang belum tentu benar kan, ya itu hak orang untuk berbicara, tapi hati-hatilah karena kan keluarga korban yang paling kasihan.
The plane carried some 100 passengers. The Indonesian consulate had no reports yet of any Indonesian in the U.S. who's affected. But once the wreckage is found, an investigation will follow. Ingrid Yonada, AAN News.
In less than 2 years, American streets will see Chinese vehicles. Daimler Chrysler signed a deal with Chery Automobile. The small car would be sold underneath an American name and will market in North America and Europe. At the same time, several other Chinese auto companies want to sell. This coming of a new era of competition comes decades after the arrival of Japanese and Korean cars. China has the latest machines plus the benefits of extremely low wages, $2 compared to America's $28. The new cars won't doom the U.S. industry but will heighten the pressure to build at lower cost. China currently has dozens of automakers with several joint projects with global manufacturers. Shanghai Automotive has teamed up with GM and Volkswagen. What do you get when you bring the world's top table tennis players to a tournament? You'll get a spin-tastic game. The Killer Spin Championship was recently held at McCormick Place. This competition brought together the world's best and crowd of aspiring locals in table tennis.
These were the familiar faces that knew how to produce a lethal combo of speed, momentum, and accuracy on table tennis. And that day, fans got to watch and learn from the pros.
I'm voting for Krianga. Krianga, he got a backhand and forehand. It's very steady, and I think he's gonna win. The first game gonna be a good match between Krianga and the Save. They're gonna big fight. They are never gonna give up.
That's what I call spintastic.
That's it. Game goes to Krianga. And the green flag flies in the back row.
The games were played on top of a redesigned table by Killer Spin, the only national table tennis club in the U.S. But what really brought the crowd to this tournament is the fact that both the young and old can play this game.
I think they give them a hope that table tennis is you can play lifelong. There are competitions, especially in Japan and Germany, that has events under 8, and the highest, oldest age events are over 95. So it's a really, not too many sports can command that.
I do want to be rated about 2,000 maybe, yeah.
What does that mean?
That means that, well, you're a really good table tennis player because you've beaten a lot of people.
Winning, it's just a different part of learning. So just got to go out there and just give your best all the time.
The tournament drew players from all over the globe. Kojima Matsushita from Japan was once the top 10 player in the world and a 4-time Olympian who would be playing his last match at the Olympics in Beijing. He had this message to young players who want to be top dog in the game of speed and accuracy.
Yeah, they need hard practice. Yeah, 365 days, every day. Also, they must know how to win the game, because the game is very complicated.
Ingrid Yanara, AAN News.
In money news, Asian stocks in the U.S. surged recently. This is after speculation that more companies may take lead from China Life Insurance in raising money in domestic markets where equities trade at a higher value. On the other hand, Korean banks fell. Korea's 3 largest lenders have all seen drops lately. The Financial Commission is preparing for tougher rules for mortgages. Well, many Indians have it 32 or more inches in the waist for a woman or 35 or more inches for a man. But do they know this is a possible death warrant? This is called the killer belly. The killer belly, a condition that specifically afflicts Indians.
The reason it's dangerous in Indians is because a lot of times you can't tell. Even Indian guys who look thin, you know, if you open their shirt, they've got a pouch hanging here. You know, it's like you just can't see it. So the legs and the arms and everything else is thin, and then they've got a tummy. This is the killer belly. It's hidden. This is why there's a special name for it.
Heart disease increased by 300% in India and 3 to 4 times here in the States. And for Indian men, no matter where they live, they have one of the highest rates of heart disease in the world. Research shows every population gets heart disease and diabetes, but Indians get more of it and get it at least 10 years earlier.
You know, they say that for Indians and probably other Southeast Asians, that the risk of heart attacks and heart trouble comes earlier and with less, you know, major symptoms than with Caucasian population, because with a Caucasian you can see they're overweight everywhere and they're 60. With Indians and Southeast Asians, they might look thin, they might have a hidden belly, and they're only 45 and boom, he has a heart attack. And this is why it's the killer belly.
Fat around the waist and the abdomen is the most dangerous for cardiovascular and diabetic risk.
Belly fat is hormonally active because it's around all of your abdominal organs. And what it does is it affects the hormone balance, and it makes your body resistant to your own insulin. And through a chain of events, basically what happens is any food that you feel hungry a lot, and any food that you eat ends up getting stored. instead of getting burned. So you eat more because you're hungry, but you can't use that food, so it stores it. And so it becomes a vicious cycle. You have a belly, and because of the belly, you can't burn any food, and you store more, and it gives more of a belly, and then it's a vicious kind of cycle.
It is genetic for Indians to collect fat in this area.
If you find, for example, African Americans, they gain weight on their buttocks, typically, and in their legs. Indians gain weight in their bellies. Heart disease amongst Indians is really high because of 2 or 3 main reasons. The first is diet. So for any disease, you want to look to genetics and environment. So a good doctor once said that your genetics loads the gun, and then the environment pulls the trigger.
And just like many of the Eastern countries, India became more westernized with fast foods, more sweets. Sweets typically in old culture, you had sweets on special occasions. Someone's birthday, someone's wedding, you have a child, you offer sweets. But today, just like in America, we have bakeries. You can get sweets anytime you want. So people tend to overeat on the wrong kinds of stuff. And a busy lifestyle.
The busy lifestyle and the boom of the IT, all of the IT jobs where 1 million people are just sitting behind desks all day. So no exercise, easily fast food available, high stress positions, so many environmental factors coupled with genetic predisposition that it's the incidence of heart disease is booming.
Dr. Cashel caught himself before it got too far and advises everyone to do the same.
Eat well, eat less carbs, more protein, more exercise, less stress, whether that's yoga or meditation or running or painting or working out or anything that lowers your stress. So lifestyle changes, because we can't change our genetics. We can't change who our mothers and fathers are. So what's left is to change the environment.